we're live. Hey everyone, happy Thursday afternoon, evening, or Friday morning. I think we covered most bases. We're so lucky, I'm so lucky, that every Thursday I get to chat with people all over the world about stand-up paddleboarding and their adventures and their love of outdoors and all the different ways that happens. And today, a special guest, a real OG, started 3 years before I did. Really one of the earliest, especially because she doesn't live in Hawaii, although she has a special place in her heart for Hawaii. But Sue Cooper of Lazy Dogs. I am wearing a shirt that I think I've had for 10 years that I absolutely still love. Businesswoman in SUP, author, owner of a company in Key West, Florida. She is the person who puts on a big race that's been around for a long time called Key West Classic. We're going to talk about that too. And a bunch of new stuff. Puerto Rico. Yes, a lot of us have been watching the ISAs. Yeah, great stuff happening down in Puerto Rico. So welcome, whether you're a regular or whether you're here for the first time. The stand-up paddle, like all paddle community and lovers of the outdoors and water, is a friendly one. We hope you're finding places to paddle. Feel free to introduce yourself. And Sue is here. She knows what she's doing. This woman is on top of Sue Cooper from Lazy Dog, Key West, Florida. And again, tons of things to chat about today. There she is. I never know if you're going to be inside or outside. And there's your very famous dog.
I know. I thought Jax. I'm actually sitting in his chair, so I figured he can get in the shot.
I love it. I love it. That's perfect. It fits, doesn't it? Yeah. Hey,
yeah, it's a little hot outside, so I was gonna do it outside, but yeah, it's pretty warm. So
yeah, it's interesting. Some people are down in Puerto Rico. There's a big event happening down there right now.
Yeah, exciting. Yeah, fun to watch.
Yeah. So Soren is watching. She's one of
our
our youngest.
Yeah.
13, yeah.
Yeah.
Fun stuff. But Sue, you have been at this for a while, and you have a prehistory of water. You already had the shack, I think, before you even found stand-up. But I seriously don't know many people who started before 2007, except a couple people maybe surfing in Hawaii.
yeah, and it was funny. It was really hard to find boards when I wanted to get into stand-up paddling, and it was such a funny way that I kind of stumbled into it, which is, I don't know, sometimes it seems to be my life, and then it turns into a business. But we were at the Surf Expo, and at the end of the expo on the last day, they'd always, you could buy samples. So we bought some surfboards. We had quite a few hurricanes in 2000. It was 2005 at the time. And so we bought some boards, and anytime there were storms, we'd be out there, and they're small waves. We would never be able to get up. So I'm like, we need some stand-up paddle boards, because then we can surf the waves when there's a storm. And I looked all over, and there was this one company in North Carolina called Real Kite, Real Kite or something. It's in North Carolina, and they sold Jimmy Lewis boards. They sold them without the pad, and they were about this narrow. So even though I was younger and I had some balance, as soon as we would turn on the boards, we'd just fall in. And now we have a fleet of 40, and we have stable boards, and we try and represent all the brands, because over the years of all the racing, you just got to meet a lot of great people. And it's I think all of us in stand-up paddling from the early years can say that was probably one of the best parts, was all the connections that we made.
Absolutely. And community is such a part of what you write about, what you guys do, the whole Lazy Dog.
It's all about the people. More fun to do things with people. So it
is. And that's such a fascinating thing. Yeah. Because stand-up can be a solo activity, and yet it seems to be a group that absolutely love community and are looking for that, and are looking for people.
The race would be 45 minutes, and then we'd all get to hang out. And you always opened up your house when we came out to California with everybody coming in. That was always just so great. It was just so welcoming, because we would come from 3,000 miles away, and you're always so kind to all of us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and vice versa. I actually only got to your race once, but had a blast with you guys. You and your crew are absolutely fantastic. Love Key West. What a really special place. But let's back up, because in 2007, where did you even hear about stand-up paddling? Did you see it when you were on a trip? Was it already in
That's a very
Florida,
good
or was it
question.
at Surf Expo?
I know. I'm trying to think. Was this before Kate Hudson was on the front of People magazine paddleboarding? Because she kind of made it. Actually, that might have been like 2010. Because I feel like she really like. I noticed people were like, "I gotta try that. I gotta try that." She made it kind of popular. Yeah, I guess I don't know. It must have just. I always like read. I mean, I'm a huge reader of not necessarily books, but like I want to know current what's going on. So.
Uh-huh.
Must have seen something. And there's always Laird Hamilton. I always have followed him. So there, or even Kauai.
Hmm.
That's a good question. I don't know where I actually saw it, but I knew I had to get them.
But I love, you're definitely someone who through your life and through all you do, you go for it, and the early adopter, and don't, I mean, that's part of one of the things you talk about in your business coaching and life coaching and everything, and what you
Yeah.
write is
I was
that.
very lucky. My parents and my sister, and I think my sister might be watching. Hi, Julie.
Hi,
um,
Julie.
and she's up in Connecticut still. But my parents and my sister were always so supportive of me. And I joke that my mom came up with the slogan, just do it, before Nike, because she just always was just like, just do it. It doesn't matter if what the outcome is, whether you're good at it or bad at it, you just got to do it. Just got to have that experience. And that's how I've done everything with my business and outside, and things I do for fun. So
Yeah.
business is fun too, but yeah, I
Well,
just try.
we could spend the whole hour talking about each one of the many different things that you're involved in that relate to stand-up paddling. But I'd love you in a nutshell just to talk about like that background and how I have an autographed copy of,
Oh,
I believe, your first book, because I
yes.
saw that you have another one out and I don't own it. I need to buy
Oh,
it.
I'll have to send that too. Yes.
Yeah, but I just love this picture so much. In
It's
fact, is
funny.
that Jack's or is that?
I kind of knew what I wanted to do for the front cover all along, and I just loaded up a bunch of my friends one day. I was like, the conditions are perfect. Let's go. And we went out around 9 o'clock and in the morning and just shot it and just had fun. So,
Yeah.
uh, I did the business book the same way. Just went out with a bunch of friends, and that the business book is called The Lazy Dog Way, but it's about building a business by putting people first, and everything in the business book can be related to personal life too. I'm big on action plans. Tony Robbins, changed my life in 1997 when I listened to his cassette tapes. Had 30 cassette tapes back in the day, and it was all about taking action and just doing things. And so that's sort of the style that I did with my books was a lot of action
Yeah.
plans.
Well, I feel like he was early into it, and you were too. I read this a long time ago, but I was flipping back through it and going, wow, because it's so much more prevalent. A lot of your messages do ring true with a lot of people, but you got out there early and we're sharing it. So I think I've talked to lots of people who really
Uh,
used your advice and took some steps. And in fact, Terry Plunkett, TP, says hi.
oh, hi,
She's
Terry.
one that I was really moved by the book, like back when, because we started paddling and racing together in 2010 and had
Yeah.
lots of good times with you guys.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
guys have a great community of racing out there. So for us here, we had the Paddle Classic. It's been around for 25 years, but it's changed hands quite a few times. And then we started in like 2013, I think it was, and just tried to build that community because I saw you guys had that in California, and I loved it. South Florida in Fort Lauderdale and Miami has it. And I was like, we got to build that up. And so we did. We built up a great community down here, and it's just fun being on the water with friends.
Yeah, it is fantastic, and you've done a great job with it. Unfortunately, this year you weren't able to have it on the planned date.
Yeah,
Hurricanes, another one of those years where that's changing dates. So it's coming up,
it is.
December 3rd, correct? If anybody
Yeah,
looking,
December
it's
3rd, we were lucky. I mean, the beach got hit pretty hard, but they rebounded pretty quick. They filled the sand back in. So December 3rd, and people contact me all the time about bringing it back to the original date, which was in May. There's obviously no hurricanes in May, but it is a really super busy time of year for us. So we are going to bring it back in 2023 to May. There are
okay.
a few
Well,
other races, so we couldn't do that first week in May because Carolina Cup moved back a week because I think they kept getting into
yeah. Well,
yeah, sometimes it's May because it's the end of April, but sometimes
Yeah.
that gets into May. But that was a nice thing. I do remember that a lot of people who are coming a long distance, even though you
Yeah.
don't think of North Carolina as close, for those of us like California, Hawaii, you can make then kind of a week and a half of it and have two amazing
Yeah.
weekend experiences.
So yeah, that's the plan. We're gonna bring it back in May, and a lot of good races then, and we'll see. I think that'll
Yeah.
stop the emails that I keep getting. Got a
Well,
lot
I'm
of
sure
plans
I'm
for
sure
me.
you'll have a great turnout. Unfortunately, I'm actually in Florida, but there's another event going on that I'm actually get to commentate called Last Paddler Standing.
Oh
But
yes, I heard about that. That sounds
yeah, I
fun.
think it's a really interesting format. It's going on unfortunately at the same time, but
Yeah.
it doesn't involve as many people. So if you're a regular racer, definitely get down to Key West Classic on December
Yeah,
3rd.
yeah. No, that last man standing sounds like a lot of fun. I know they do it as a run. Jesse Itzler, who I follow, does it as a run, and I was like, "This is a great idea for paddling."
Yeah, I follow him too. And yes, it's exactly based on that run format that it's and I loved, I don't know if Chris Parker, Sup Racer, is back and he just sent out a message kind of talking about how could this be a gender equal race because it is, it's not about your speed and it's not, it's about your endurance and your mental game.
Absolutely, it's so mental. Yeah, it definitely could. Yeah, it's gonna even it out. We'll have to see that.
Yeah. I think that's going to be interesting. So it'll be really fun to be a part of it and watch that go on. But I know you'll have a successful race. One of the things that I think is really interesting that you do, because it's a pretty challenging course, is you make a relay. But the relays I had been familiar with before, like in California, it's in Hawaii, they're channel relays. You
Mm-hmm.
have to have an escort boat. They're really amazing, but they're so much more work. But you've managed to make it so there's drop
Yeah,
off and startup points, right? How does that
yeah.
work?
Well, a lot of I know in Hawaii we do one the Nepali race, and it's a lot of them are downwinders, so they we always have to have a boat out there. But I'm big on participation, and one of the things I like most about putting on events is to be able to provide a platform where people can have a really cool experience because that's what I love about life is getting out there, and so to be able to do that. I feel like the relay adds a lot more people to the race, and it's fun, and because there's a 3 mile leg, there's a 4 mile leg, and a 5 mile leg, so you can pretty much that's like the least would be paddling for 45 minutes, say. So most people can do that, and it's fun. Relays are a lot of fun, and a lot of our regular racers who have gone all the way around now they prefer the relay. So we'll
They
see.
can say they did it. Yeah. And I love that. I don't know that I've run across that there's 3 different lengths of the relay pieces. And that's kind of fun because within your team, you're like, okay, who really wants to do
Yeah,
that? Which
yeah.
piece do you like for those who know your area?
The hardest run is the middle run, and that's the 5 mile loop, 5 mile one way, but that's into the wind, and usually the toughest part. But the whole race really is tough. The front is choppy, and you got a downwinder, but it's choppy. And then at the end, you're just you've either got the current against the current, and then a little bit of chop on the way back. So
Yeah.
not always an easy race, but for some reason everyone keeps coming back. So,
Well, hey, Chattajack just finished up. That's not
right.
easy because it's long and
That
people,
one,
all kinds of people keep going back to it. So
yeah,
there's accomplishment in doing something like that for sure.
yeah.
Even if it's painful. So yeah, so you have a second book, the business one. I mean, everything you do is about people, but I want to back up. I mean, you work with your best friends, your dog, and
Yeah.
your friends that you travel with and everything. You talk about that, and that's why not live your life that way? I love the story that you started this book out with about a man who lived in a fishing village and this guy, a workaholic who was on vacation. I want to do this someday.
Yeah.
In 30 years, I'll be able to come and do this, and realizing that's exactly what this man's life was.
Yeah, exactly.
He was spending time with people. He was doing what he loved.
Yeah, live where you love, do what you love, and surround yourself with people that you love. And that to me is true success, because it's and you really want to have, health is a big part of it. And my new mission now is really to get out there. Like somebody had asked me about my success, and I'm like, honestly, it's from putting myself first. I've always, since I was young, I always got up early, before the sunrise and went and worked out, and I had the time for myself, walked my dog, you know, like did all these things when I was young. And I just always took that time for myself so I could bring the best Sue Cooper to everything I did. Didn't really help me in school, but with my grades, but you know, as an adult, I just find that I just have a lot more energy, and I don't get so depleted if I just take care of myself. And so getting proper sleep, hydration, eating properly, you know, doing it all. It doesn't have to be to the extreme, you know. Still love to eat Oreos and drink red wine, but but just the basics of taking care of yourself first, so you can bring your best to all your relationships, to work, to family, to everything. So
Yeah.
that's do and I put that in the book. I put a lot of that in. I updated the one you have, and then I also put a business book too. So
Great. Fantastic. Well, the shirt I'm wearing has a paddle in it, but I know you started merchandising before that because you had the Lazy Dog Shack. I assume you started with kayaks, and I think.
Yeah, it was.
You know,
Yeah, and we were actually called Outdoor Adventure Company, I think it was called.
Oh.
And then I had my friend draw the dogs on a T-shirt, and it just said Lazy Dog Kayak Guides. And then everyone kept calling us Lazy Dog Kayak Guides. And I'm like, well, maybe that should be the name of the company. So anyway, we did change it over the years, and yeah, and it's morphed. But the kayaking and the merchandise was the beginning, and then we got into stand-up paddling. We have a boat charter now, and we're just starting e-foiling.
Yeah, let's jump into your new stuff. So besides the new book I didn't know about, but that had came out a while ago, e-foiling is all the rage. Definitely an offshoot of stand-up, but definitely stand-alone too. So talk about that. You can go down to Key West and learn how to do that from you guys, eh?
Beautiful place to do it. I mean, we've just been doing it for fun. It was my birthday last year, and we were all out at the sandbar, and you know, Tara, our yogi, came out with a friend, and he had a e-foil, and he actually works for Lyft and Lyft boards and was selling them. And he's like, you got to try this. You got to try it. And I did it. And I was like, I'll take two. I don't know what we're going to do with it, but I'll take two. And, but yeah, no, I knew it was definitely up and coming. I kept seeing it on Instagram, and things get here a little bit later after they've gone Hawaii, California, and they eventually make Florida. But what I loved about it is our old friend from MHL boards, Nick Gleason, is yeah, he's the one who
I remember him.
Boards, yeah. So I thought that was really cool. He was real good friends with Heather Boss. So yeah, so that was kind of neat. So it was like kind of a stand-up little connection there. And so yeah, we're just starting that out, just doing lessons, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's new, it's exciting. I love the energy of new things. You know, I love the energy of events, because to me, it's like running a one-day business. It's just new, it's fun, it's one day, great energy. So yeah, I love the startup feel.
Yeah. Well, you've talked about jumping into things, and that's always been, you know, that you take care of yourself. You get up in the morning and you're, you know, go for things. One of the things I thought was fantastic about you and the Lazy Dog crew is that you came out to events. Like you said, you came to California. You didn't do the wait and see. It's like, oh, there's something big going on. Let's be a part of it. Usually popped up a booth and we're selling merch. You guys usually jumped into the racing, whatever it was. I love that about the whole crew.
Waves were like, oh my God, are you serious? Because we don't have waves. That was a little scary at times, but we all did it. We all did it together, and we had a great time. Yeah, we sold the merch. I actually found my favorite photo of you and me.
Oh, really? Oh, is there?
I'm going to zoom in a little.
Uh-huh.
That's you on top of the wave. You actually made it over. And that's me about to get pummeled by the wave.
Oh my gosh, that was the Salt Creek year. I'm not even on my race board because that I do surf, and that scared the
that was so wild.
Say shit out of me.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the original location at the Tahini beach, and then the Salt Creek. And I remember showing up on Friday, and I thought, oh my gosh, but there's a lot.
It's funny because to a lot of people, they say that was the best year. To me, it even though I enjoyed it and had fun, I've never worried so much about my friends, the people who are on the water. I thought for sure somebody was going to get seriously. I mean, there were some minor injuries, but I thought it was going to be a major injury. That was not my favorite.
girls and I said, I'll tell you what. I said, you know, all I can tell you is paddle as fast as you can when they say go, because hopefully they're timing it and we can all get over the wave, and then, you know, we're good once you get over. And none of us got over. But we all got back on the boards and eventually made, and we all eventually finished. But we remembered on that first one. So remember,
Fun, and I did just barely make it, but thank you for remembering that picture.
Stand-up magazine is just, that's not as clear as their one, but you're just right on top of it. It's just an epic shot of you.
But I think, is that the one that my paddle's in the air?
Yep.
It should have been down because I needed to be getting it in the water as soon as possible. I can't remember if I made it after that, but yeah, fun stuff. I actually was just texting with Anthony Vela, who's running the event in Puerto Rico for ISA, but I said, your name might come up because one of our funniest memories of you gals was here at my house and there were people in the jacuzzi.
Oh yeah.
We have a very funky house here. Do you remember that one?
Who was it that was in the bathroom?
I don't know, a group of you. Maybe it wasn't you, Holly. I don't know.
Yeah.
Holly? I'm not sure which ones. Barb, yeah. Probably.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Yes. But yes, AV was one of the ones in the jacuzzi, so that they kind of flashed them. Good stuff. Good memories. You have a special, or I see it as you having a super special connection with Hawaii because you guys go to that Nepali Coast race. And
we do, yeah.
I still haven't done that, but that is just one of the most beautiful places on earth. It's just absolutely epic. I'm sure it's super challenging. Did you say it was a relay and you go on and off the boat?
We used to always do it just individual. And then the last maybe 4 years, we did it as a relay. And I kept reaching out to Kai Lenny and having him come down, and because he was in Hawaii, and just trying to get people, you know, I try to get as many people to that race because it's such a great race. Kai eventually came and actually e-foiled it. And I saw on his Instagram, he actually wrote that it was the most beautiful place he's ever e-foiled. And I mean, there's nowhere to pull over. It's just all cliffs. I think it's the least traveled part of the Hawaiian Islands. It's just, you can't really pull in anywhere. But it's so beautiful. We would go every year just for that race. But before it started, I was in Hawaii on vacation. And I said, wow, if I could ever do a paddleboard race in one place, this would be it. And then we happened to walk into a surf shop, and it said the first annual Nepali Coast race. And I was like, perfect. So
you did the very first one. That is really cool.
Yeah. And we filled our application. We handed it in. They're like, okay, so girls are from Florida, you're going to be able to handle the waves. And we're like, yeah. You know, and they're like, okay, you're going to look out for each other out there? I'm like, oh, yeah, of course we will. Yeah. The race started, the storm came in, and we never saw each other until 4 hours later we finished. But it was just absolutely beautiful. It was, and so we've gone back every year. Yeah.
And you guys hike that coast too, or is that somewhere else?
Yep. We hike it every year, and then we paddle it every year, yeah. And then we usually take a boat down, so.
That is really special. I think I saw you guys in a new location, though. Did you go to Portugal?
Oh, we did. Yeah. Actually, during COVID, somebody said, I saw on Facebook, they said they couldn't go to Hawaii because it was closed. But the next best place to hike besides Kalalau Trail and Kauai is Madeira. And I'm like, okay, sounds good. Tara, who does our yoga program, she does a 25-hour certification, stand-up paddle yoga certification with us. And then does retreats, and she set one up there, and so we thought we'd tag along. And it was spectacular, absolutely beautiful. If you get a chance, that's definitely
I've been there once, and I know it's not a huge country, but didn't get around enough and can't wait to go back. Really, really enjoyed Portugal.
Right? Is that your on your profile, your cover page photo? Is that you on there? Is that Kauai?
That's Kauai. Yes, it is. One of my favorite places. Honolulu Bay.
Yeah, that's where we stay. I love it there.
My oldest daughter gave us that as a Christmas present we had a postponed COVID trip that we had given all of them before COVID that we finally got to, but she gave us the photo shoot. And that really, I mean, how can you go wrong? Everybody looks good.
Yeah.
On the beach in Hawaii.
Yeah. I know, I saw that and I'm like, I recognize that spot. It's my favorite place on earth.
isn't it? I remember the first time I went there sitting, my husband doesn't surf, but I rented a surfboard and, you know, paddled around inside the bay more than I surfed, looking for the river that Laird lived up.
Yeah.
Wanted to see him paddling out of it. But I'm just sitting there and looking up. I thought, this is surreal. I mean, waterfalls and rainbows, and it really is something that you see in a painting and think can't be real, but it really is.
Yep. Yep. It's beautiful.
Absolutely gorgeous. I saw also one of the things you're working on is kind of, I mean, you've always had great advice. You've been so involved from the beginning, but kind of working on your YouTube, which I haven't visited lately. So what kind of content are you going to add? Are you just like freshening up stuff that's already there?
I've always just kind of thrown out a lot of the messages, you know, just gone and done a little video based on something in my book. And then during COVID, I started doing more. And people, every time I do one, I get nice feedback. And I thought, you know, I just kind of feel like I love talking business. I love talking personal growth. And so I just kind of feel like I'm at that age where I just want to get like everything out of my head, and I want to share everything I've learned, the things I did right, the things I did wrong, the things I should have done, the things I didn't do, and help anybody in business or in life. And I feel very blessed. You know, I build a business brand and a lifestyle that I love, and I love to encourage people to do it. So I'm just getting into the YouTube and freshening it up. There's a lot of videos on there from over the years, and I'm just going to keep putting more and more out, and just keep it current, because the book, once you write a book, and it was a great experience. I've never written a book, so I learned everything from how to start. I need the template, what kind of book and I did a video on it, like how to write and produce a book, you know, for $0. Because Amazon really helps you. The platforms are there. Selling it's a whole nother story, but writing it's, but yeah, so just writing in it, like as soon as it was done, I'm like, oh, I got a few more things I want to put in. And that's why the business book took me forever, because I just kept adding to it, because I'm always learning still. I'm working in my business. I like being around. And so the more current and up-to-date information is all going to be on the YouTube channel. I'll keep that running.
Right.
So.
And they do say that both audio and video are key these days. And, you know, people want digestible pieces of things. So even breaking it down and making it search findable in search engines and all that kind of good stuff.
Learn all that. Yeah, it's good.
It is great. So, so many adventures through Lazy Dog, through your life, but how about some favorite places you've paddled, and also maybe are there places you haven't paddled yet that you would love to get to?
Right. I really had a fun time in Puerto Rico. We actually, Heather Boss had set us up, got us some boards. We met down at the pier. We got on a boat. It took us 8 miles offshore. They threw our boards over, told us to jump in, and we had to race back to Puerto Rico. And I was like, that was amazing. Like, it was, there was 4 of us. We had a great time. We had no idea what we're getting ourselves into. And it's supposed to be a downwinder. It ended up blowing like 3 miles an hour. So it was hot, but we all made it. And it was just such a cool experience. I'm like, I always just kept saying, gosh, I wish we had something like that. We have a reef, like it'd be cool to paddle in from the reef, if we do something like that. And eventually I just found myself kind of complaining about, like, man, I wish somebody would do it. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to put this event on. So we did it. It was called Race the Reef. And we took everyone out. We worked with Sebago Catamarans, a big catamaran company in town. We sailed out at sunrise to the reef, threw all the boards over. Everybody jumped in and had to paddle back to the beach. It was actually our sponsor for the Paddle Classic, Salute. Had a really nice breakfast spread there when everybody got in.
Oh, and that sounds amazing. Do you still do that?
And you know, I do write about in the book, you know, if what you want doesn't exist, create it. And I use that race as an example, because I'm like, gosh, I wish we had that. You know, I wish somebody would put that on. And I was like, wait a minute, you know, if I want to compete in something like that and no one's putting it on, then I'll just put it on. So it's just kind of a good life lesson I've used over the years to, if it doesn't exist, create it.
I love that. Absolutely. And you have created a lot, which is just absolutely fantastic. So, yeah, and you mentioned, of course, we talked about the race and Hawaii as another favorite place, but someplace you haven't been yet that you want to paddle?
Well, that's a good question. Well, all of the pictures in Italy look pretty amazing. Down the canals there. Yeah, that looks kind of nice. And I didn't paddle in Madeira, which I should have done. I did see that there's a race in July, I think.
Ooh.
I mean, we used to plan our travels based on the races, and now it's a little bit more, well, we'll go somewhere and then paddle.
Yeah.
But I love where you are there is just, to me, epic. The waves at Tahini are absolutely perfect. I just felt like every time we were there, they're always that perfect. I don't know if they ever are, but they were just fun to play with. They were just perfect height for us from Florida. Yeah, I loved it there. And the North Shore of Maui is great too. There's a race, downwinder out there too. Maliko Gulch, that was great.
Yeah. I need to do that one still. That's on my bucket list. Yeah.
That one is up there for me, so I definitely recommend that one. Yeah.
So you definitely seem like someone who doesn't live with regret. So I don't mean it in that way, but if you could tell yourself 15 years ago, what you know now, do you have some advice about, getting, I guess, you've had so many phases of this business, so I can't say it started in 98 or 2007. You just added and changed and morphed.
Yeah.
Any advice you give your younger self?
It's funny. My sister's daughter actually asked me that at our last family get together, and it was just it's kind of tough because I just feel like I'm always learning. There's definitely a lot I've done wrong and I've messed up a lot, but I just don't hold on to that and just figure this is part of life. And I'm happy to have just had an experience. Again, my parents and my sister are very positive people, and things don't work out. It's if you keep your head down and you get all grumpy and closed down, you don't see all the other opportunities that are out there. And so I just try and always just keep moving and be like, oh well, that didn't work out the way I wanted, but usually something better will come out of it if I just keep my head up. So I consider myself a realistic optimist. I know sometimes things aren't easy and life can really stink sometimes, but I just choose to be aware of that and focus on the positive, and just kind of the way I always do it. But
that's fantastic. And I think that's definitely that's got to be my really getting hit over the head advice for the week, because April Zills just did a whole post about looking where you want to go and looking forward, both literally in stand-up paddling, you need to look up, not look down, but in life, you need to be looking up too. That's exactly what you just said. So everyone out there, let's all look up and take Sue's advice and be positive.
Don't worry about the outcome. It's just keep going out and have fun.
Well, you've given us tons of tips, but if you would sort of in a nutshell, just about starting new things or starting a business, just for people who want to step in, but let's be more specific about into the outdoor world or into a water business of some sort. What's some good advice?
Right. I'm actually writing a manual for how to start an e-foil business, just because it is new. People, Tara did it with our paddle yoga program. She wrote a whole program on basically how to build a business and also how to, do a lot of the poses. Yoga into out on the board is very different. But yeah, I mean, the business is a lot easier. If you just got to get rid of all the excuses that I need a little bit more education, I need more information, I need a little bit more money to start, I need to work on my logo a little bit there. Don't worry about all that. Just jump in and do it, because nothing ever goes according to plan. Back in the old days, yes, everybody needed a business plan. For anything new I start, I do a 1-page only. I just write down everything I can fit on 1 page as far as my business plan, and then I jump in, because I know that it's just, you have to adjust on the fly and just keep moving forward and don't get discouraged, and don't worry about the plan, because usually, again, it'll end up being something better if you just kind of keep your emotion into it, keep the energy into it, keep doing something every day to keep it moving forward, and always be aware of what's going on. I always like to know what my competitors are doing, but I don't waste any energy and being like, oh, I can't believe they did. I don't, you don't need to get anything like that. But it's always good to know what's going on in the industry, in your town, with other competitors. And then it just helps you make decisions a little bit easier.
Oh my gosh, fantastic advice. And it's so true that so much of these things, you know, you can get caught up. I think we stop ourselves, you know. It's mindset, and it's
It is.
moving,
Well,
keep moving forward.
our own worst enemy, really. And it's Sarah Blakely from Spanx. You know, I always refer to her. She's fantastic, billionaire, and she still talks about the her negative self-talk. It's still there, and she's the first American self-made billionaire, female billionaire. You know, and she's got a great family, and she's got a great life. Best friends with Richard Branson. So, you know, I love that. He's an idol of mine, but yeah, but we still have it. Doesn't matter who you are. And so somehow I just have to kind of minimize the negative self-talk and realize that everybody has it. It's not just you, me, you know, and just keep moving forward and find a way to be your best cheerleader and surround
Yeah.
yourself with people who can be a cheerleader for you too. So.
Wow, such great life advice. I know that all of that can be applied to business, and great. I'm still really involved in the racing, and it's great racing advice because there is that little voice that, you know, in the middle of a hard race tries to tell you the negative, or focuses on the negative, or talks you out of it, and you gotta.
I was in a really hard race once. The wind came in, a storm came in, and it moved the buoy, the turnaround buoy. And boy, I thought about quitting so many times. It was very early on. And I remember before in another race, Packett Casey from South Florida had said to me, the thing you have to remember when you're in a race is that everybody's in the same conditions. And so if it's tough conditions, it's tough for other people too. I mean, yes, we're all different levels of paddle and fitness, but it is tough. And so you just have to be like, all right, well, they had to go through this. I got to go through this. And, you know, falling off the board and getting back on. They're falling off the board, getting back on. And so, yeah, you just have to kind of play. So much of it's mental. You just have to play the mental game with yourself. And the more you understand yourself mentally, physically, emotionally, the easier and the better paddlers we can be, because our mind is huge. Like you said, the last man standing, it's all mental. And it's gonna be so easy to be like, oh, I should just quit. I don't need to finish, you know. But you've done the training, you know. The people that are out there that just do it until you take yourself out, you know. But
yeah.
But yeah,
that will be so interesting to see. I have talked to a couple people who are testing the waters and doing it, and just have a goal of a certain time for this time, you know, instead of. But then you can say, you know, so it might be something that some people work up to. We will see. That works, but yes,
I think will continue to grow, because it's a great format and can appeal to a lot of people. Yeah, but I mean, the running one would sometimes go on over 24 hours, so it'll be interesting to see what the paddle one does.
Yeah, they're expecting at least 48, and then it changes a little bit, so it probably won't go more than 60, because it actually does. They tweak it a little bit to like up the game for those who are, you know, still there 48 hours in. I'm not sure. I've never stayed up that long. The not sleeping thing. That will be a very interesting aspect of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, so you're still organizing a major race that we hope lots of people will get to in this rescheduled date. And thanks for the heads up that next year it will be back in May, for those of you who have been hounding her to change it.
We didn't make it live yet on Paddle Guru, just because we don't want people to, by accident, sign up for the wrong race. So we'll open the May event in early December, and you can register then.
After you finish up this one. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Good. Need to get it on our calendar for USA Sup. We're trying to help link everybody together and find a place to find everybody's race. You're still writing. Are you still coaching too? Like business coaching?
I don't do too much, but I'm gonna get more into that. We just had, honestly, with COVID, it was probably the busiest 2 years we've had. Everybody wanted to be outside.
Yep.
There were no rules in Florida. Everybody came to Florida. Our governor pretty much opened everything. Key West, and I think all of water sports, the marinas. I mean, we couldn't even get kayaks. All the kayak companies were out of kayaks. For water sports, it was big time. So we're just sort of catching up now. It's finally slowed down a little bit in the fall. Did a little travel, and now it's time to e-foil and do some business coaching and get the YouTube videos going.
Yeah,
So.
great stuff. Well, you always are putting out not only just an amazing vibe, you and your crew, do you call them your pack because you're lazy dogs? I don't know. It's funny how those things evolve, isn't it? But such wonderful people. And also just all that you produce is amazing. To have a business, to have multiple businesses going on and to still keep up things like the wonderful Key West Classic. And we just are so grateful for that. If you guys haven't been to Key West, that's amazing in and of itself. I feel like it's such a special location. It's in the United States, but it feels like you're in another country. I know my friend TP and I flew into Miami and drove the bridge because we had never been to any of the Keys. And you're out there on the end.
As far down as you can go. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Anyone who wants to come, we have lazydog.com is the website, and we'd love to take you out paddling or on the boat or whatever you like to do.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was even tagging the right company because you have.
That was the one, yeah. We do everything now through Lazy Dog. We had too many pages there in the early years, so. But yeah.
I might have hit up on some of the old ones, but yes, find Sue, find her YouTube, the website. So much going on down there. Thank you so much for your time, and it's so great to see you again and catch up. We got to get you and the crew out here.
Yes, I think that'd be a great idea.
Maybe even on your way to Hawaii, you make a part of a week stop, and we'll go surfing at Doheny and San Francisco.
What's the other one? Dog Patch, right? Dog Patch. That's the other great place. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Absolutely, another great hub. So thank you for your time. Appreciate it so much. Glad you're well.
Thanks.
And hope to see you in person someday soon.
Good. Thank you.
Take care, and thanks everybody for listening. Remember, this immediately goes to IGTV on SubConnect. So tell your friends if they missed it, they need to come watch it. And it will then be on YouTube, SubConnect, and KT Outside. Thanks so much. Appreciate you joining us, and have another fantastic weekend. Take care. Bye.